Good morning, Starshines. My name is DH. My pronouns are they, them, and this is the Cozycast, episode 12. Today is Saturday, August 3rd, and I have so much stuff to talk to you about. I was thinking that I wouldn't have very much to touch on this episode because I don't have very many whips in progress. And then I started writing up my script or my notes. And yeah, it might be another long one. So it's going to be fun though. I have lots of cool stuff. I am also testing out a new filming setup. As you can see, I have a new background. It's the same room, just a slightly different angle. I'm hoping that this will help out with the lights. I'm also trying out a new mic setup, so I'm going to see how it looks. The test videos that I did seem pretty good, but we'll see how it all looks when I put it together in the editing software at the end. So if you do have any feedback on the audio or video quality, please let me know down in the comments below or in the Discord as well. I always love to hear it. There's also the suggestion box in the video description down below where you can leave any further feedback, any questions that you have, any ideas for future videos, any ideas for future cross stitch projects, anything like that. Okay, so that being said, let's get right into the projects. I have 3 finishes. Yes, that is correct, 3 finishes, and then a 4th finish, which is not mine, but I was going to show you anyways. So my first finish is Fruit Bat Summer. Here it is. It's beautiful. I love it. This little sampler I designed for the Etsy and the coffee shop. It is based on Toot's absolute love of summer fruits. She is not a hot girl summer kind of person. She is a fruit bat summer kind of person. So here it is, a fruit bat summer sampler. It's got these delicious strawberries. Fruit bats, of course, carrying some of Toot's favorite fruits. So we've got raspberries and melon and more strawberries, cherries, blueberries, plums, and of course, watermelons in the corner here. I love the watermelons as they are in the process of being eaten. So you have the full watermelon there, half a watermelon, a quarter watermelon, and then down to the fully eaten watermelon there. So yeah, I love this little sampler. I love the colors. As you can see, it's quite small. I stitched this um, 2/1 on 18 count oatmeal Aida from Loops and Threads. I was warned about the oatmeal Aida or Aida in general from Loops and Threads and how it isn't always the count that it purports to be. And you can definitely tell there are some rows. I don't even know if I could find them to show you, but it was really obvious while stitching. There are some columns and rows that are significantly thicker than others. So if you are using Loops and Threads, which is Michael's house brand, um, just do a quick measure of your fabric and make sure it's the actual count that you want it to be. I gave myself a huge margin on this piece, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. Yeah, it's super cute. I love it. So this was started on, according to my notes, June 19th, 2024, and I finished it on July 23rd, 2024. It's only about 4,500 stitches, so it's a pretty quick little stitch. The pattern is available on both the Etsy and the coffee shops. So if you want to stitch up a cute little summer, spooky summerween fruit bat inspired sampler of your own, you can do so. And if you do end up stitching up this pattern, I would love to see what you end up doing with it. You can always share pictures in our Discord. You can share them on Instagram and tag us at thecozydh. You can also share them to our Facebook, which we have a new Facebook page. There's tons of ways to get in touch with us. Yeah, I love it. It's cute. So that was my first finish. My second finish was just a quick little fun piece. There we go. I stitched this up in a single day. I still haven't finished it. As you can see, it's on this big piece of scrap space Aida. This is Oh My Goth. It was a freebie put out by Susie Q of Goth Stitch. And yeah, we were just talking about it in the server one day, and she had mentioned that she had seen a bunch of different versions of it stitched up, and we were talking about how pastel goth is a big aesthetic here in our house. So I decided to just whip this one up. It took me literally a day. It's 446 stitches. I stitched this on July 26th, 2024, start and finish. It is a 14 count purple space Ada. The Ada is from Amazon. I don't know the brand name. It's probably Dawn Man, but who knows? And I used 3326. I want to say DMC 3326 for the lettering, which is just this light pink. So yeah, this was a super cute, quick little finish. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do with it. I might frame it in a tiny hoop. I might just put it on a piece of foam core so I can like prop it up somewhere. But yeah, it was cute. It was funny. Liked it. This is just a scrap piece of Ada from another project, so I can probably snip and fit another tiny thing over here, which will be nice because I love this Ada. And unfortunately, it's not currently available, so I don't know when we're going to be able to get more of that in. I just went to hydrate and tried to drink my mic, so that's how this recording is going. Now, the third finish I'm super excited about. This is probably the most DH core thing I have ever made. Like, ever. This is the Lovers from Witchy Stitcher. Let's see if you can see my face while I do this. Yeah. Hello, it's my face. So this is the Lovers from the Nostalgic Tarot series by the Witchy Stitcher. She was releasing these patterns um, she's releasing 2 cards every other month on her Patreon. And then they'll go from being free for the patrons, to being in the Patreon store to being on the Etsy store. So I believe that the first set of cards is now available for purchase on the Etsy. If it is, I'll put the link down below. Um, I think I saw that Death is now available, which was one of the first cards that was released. So this was the Lovers, and as you can see, I absolutely had to make it immediately. It's got aliens. It's got a little cat. It's got rainbows. It's even got dolphins, like the quintessential 90s dolphins there. I love this piece. It turned out a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So she did not design these as a SAL, but she did release a frame if you wanted to do them as a SAL and do all 22 cards of the major arcana on one piece of fabric. But if this is one card, you can imagine how large 22 of them on the same piece of fabric would be. I mean, granted, I am using 14 count, and most people are using 18 count or higher for that. I don't think I would want to punish my eyes with 18 count Ada for that 18 count black, I should say, or even a higher count for that big of a project. And also, I adore 5 out of the 8. No, we're on 7. So I adore 5 out of the 7 that have come out, and 2 I'm like meh about. So I don't really want to commit to doing a giant piece where I'm only meh about some of it. So I'm just going to stitch the cards that I want to do. I'm going to do them in between other projects, and then I get the dopamine hit of a little finish, while at the same time stitching up quite a few of these. The one that was just released is the Chariot, which is, if you work with tarot, you will probably end up with your cards, like cards that you really personally connect with. And the Chariot is one of mine, and it is, her version of it is also intensely DH core. It is 2 neon green frogs in a hot pink little Volkswagen Bug driving along a rainbow road into space. It's DH core. So yeah, this was a really fun stitch. It did get to be a bit of a drag by the end of it. I did try and do as much of the borders as possible while I was stitching, and I did a lot of the black while I was, like, I did the black in bits and pieces instead of saving it all for one big chunk. It did get to be a bit of a grind by the end of it because I really wanted to see it done, but there were just so many like little tiny stitches, uh, little tiny sections, and tons of color changes. Some of the colors, especially some of the border, because the rainbow border, I don't know how well you can see that. is the same for every card. So if that color isn't used in the rest of the piece, so you're only doing like 10 stitches of that color in the entire project and then switching to a new color. The other thing I love about this piece is, let me see how close I can get you. But if you look at my little alien friends and their little expressions, there we go. One of them looks happy and one of them looks grumpy. They're exactly the same alien. Like, there is no change in the pattern. It's just the direction of my stitches and the order in which I decided to stitch gave them two different facial expressions. Also, keep those French knots in their eyes. I'm so pleased with those French knots. They look so good. I've never really been able to successfully do French knots. Okay, so this project, I started it June 11th, 2024, and I finished it July 29th, 2024. Uh, so yeah, overall, I'm definitely doing more of these. I think I'm going to be doing the chariot next. I was going to do the hermit next, but then the chariot came out, and I need the chariot in my life. So I'm definitely doing the chariot. I'm definitely doing the hermit. I'm probably doing death. I'm probably doing the empress. But I'm going to work on some other stuff in between. And I also decided to do it on the 14 count black individually so that I can just source the Ada more easily, because it's not a super huge piece. I can do it in offcuts from other projects. So this is the lovers. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to frame it, what I'm going to do with it. I think I'm going to stitch up a few more before I decide how I'm going to finish them. And then I can finish, because I want to finish them all in the same way. So I don't want to do anything particularly difficult or off the wall or expensive, because I'm going to be doing several of them at the same time that are all going to be displayed in the same area. So I'm going to do a few more, I think, before I make that call on how to finish them. So it'll just go into the bin of finishes that have not been fully finished, which is getting a little bit excessive, and I probably should do something with that soon. I'm sure this is a common feeling. Like, I'm sure most people, most cross stitchers out there watching this also have a bin of unfinished finishes. Maybe that's next Cozycast. I'll bring out the bin and show you guys, because there's not only my unfinished finishes, there's Toot's unfinished finishes. And Toot is a faster stitcher than I am, both in terms of actual stitching speed and completion rate of projects. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff that I need to finish. But speaking of Toot and Toot's finishes, I did want to show you one of hers. So this is a pattern that I designed for the Etsy and the coffee shop. Links in the description below. But they just finished up doing this test stitch for me, and I am so happy with how it came out. And I am so grateful because I gave them an offcut of fabric to do it on so that I wouldn't have to buy more fabric, which meant that they were working with incredibly narrow margins, and uh, finished it really quickly, really nicely, and without murdering me for only giving them like less than an inch of fabric on every side. So this is the Ghost Hunting Survival Guide. It is based on the video game Phasmophobia, which is definitely a favorite game in this household. Toot is actually streaming Phasmophobia 3 mornings a week. Links are in the description if you would like to do that. It is a spooky ghost hunting game where you are trying to figure out what kind of ghost you have using evidence before the ghost gets you. She plays this, like I said, three weeks a morning, three mornings a week on Twitch and YouTube. No talking, just hanging out. I put it on in the background while I'm working on designs and on stream stuff, and it's so much fun. So this would be your survival guide if you were to play. So over here you have all the ghost types in the game, lovingly backstitched. And then these are the different evidence types across the top. And then so each ghost has 3 evidences that can show up. So you can use this chart to figure out which evidence you have. These are the other parts of the game. And of course, your safety safety first with your ghost hunt and salt, your crucifixes, your sanity medication, and your incense. Um, so I just wanted to show this off because I love this finish. I love the way it turned out, and I'm really happy with this design. This was one of the first Phasmo designs that I did for the shop. I have 3 Phasmo patterns available, so if you want to go check those out, please check out the coffee shop and the Etsy shop. I think they may be the only Phasmophobia specific cross stitch patterns on Etsy at the moment. At least they were the last time I looked. I could not find any. I found like ghost ones. Obviously, there's tons of ghost ones. There's ghost hunting ones, but there weren't very many that were specific for Phasmophobia, the game. So, yeah, I took it upon myself to change that. I do have a sampler, like a band style band. I'm trying to think of the way to describe it. It's almost a band sampler with like the small houses motifs, but it's all Phasmophobia related. So that's really fun. I have that one up next in my queue to stitch, and I will show you the project that I want to get finished first before I move on to that one. Um, but I'm really excited. And so that one, I designed the sampler and the ghost hunting guide to be the same size. So if you were to stitch them as a set, you could have them in like matching frames or something like that. So those are the same size. And then I have a smaller one that is makes use of glow in the dark thread to like have a hidden message type thing. So I think I was pretty pleased with that one too. Okay, so that's all the finishes. And as you can see, I had quite a few of them, which is very exciting. So I finished 3 things, which means that, and then I UFO'd a couple other ones. So if you watched the whip parade from a couple of weeks ago, you might be surprised to hear that I only have 3 whips. And that does include 2 that I UFO'd. So I haven't thrown them out or frogged them or anything. There's a possibility that they might come back later, but honestly, I don't see it happening right now. So 3 whips was what I wanted to get down to in terms of cross stitch. Knitting, I want to get to 2 whips. No, that's a lie. Knitting, I want to get to 3 whips as well. But I'm still quite a ways above that. So whips, that's what we're talking about. Hello. Basically, the structure of my whips that I want is I want a full coverage going. I want one of my own pieces that I'm test stitching, and then I want another small pattern by a different designer. So because cross stitch designers keeps coming out with beautiful things that I need to stitch like immediately. So that is very difficult for me to focus on test stitching my own stuff when there's so many amazing designs from so many amazing designers. But I have finally gotten it down to that rotation. Let me show you what is up. So this might mean that the progress or the whip section of the podcasts might get a little repetitive. I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep them a little more interesting and fresh by showing you progress. I am stealing a lot of inspiration, taking inspiration from other Flosstubers, other streamers on Twitch for the way that I want my content to look. You probably already noticed that my content is heavily influenced by a few different styles. Rainbow Ange of Yarn and Yarns podcast is a huge influence on me. Snake Discovery, you'll notice that I have little speech captions for the animals when they're in the shot. That is straight from Snake Discovery. And I have started hanging it with the Daceman and Sketch on Twitch and YouTube a little bit more. And I love the way that they have their content set up. So yeah, where was I going with this? Whips. Let's talk about whips. So in the full coverage category, we have Those Who Wait. Those Who Wait is by Heather of Stitchwit. It is not technically full coverage. As you can see, there are sections where the Ada shows through. That is a design detail. The Ada is basically the 5th color in this design, so I'm considering it full coverage because it is almost completely full coverage except for very small sections of it to give the piece some detail. So this is my full coverage whip at the moment. I did unfortunately UFO Tangled Garden. I talked about that in the last Cozycast. So let me show you a picture of where I was at last time you saw this. So I haven't gotten hugely far on it because I was focused on getting a bunch of whips off my plate. So I've worked on it a little bit. Every time I pick this up, I absolutely love the process of working on it, especially now that I've gridded it. You might be able to see some of the high vis reflective fishing line that I used to grid it with. Um, the I'm using the cross country by a diagonal method, and I really like the effect that it gives. It's so dopamine producing. Let's go with dopamine producing because like filling out each diagonal gives you that feeling of having a little finish all in its own, which is just it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. So originally I had this in an 8 by 8 Q snap. I moved it into this 11 by 11 because I finally figured out how to comfortably stitch on my 11 by 11, which was the reason I wasn't really using this one because when I stitch, I was having to reach around and I was finding this movement very awkward and it really like wore my shoulder out quickly. But that's because I was having it propped up on my stomach like this. I do use my magnificent thumb as kind of the other arm of my clamp stand. So what I actually need to do is shift it forward and lean a little bit forward to stitch, and that's a lot easier on me. So now that I figured that out, I'm more likely to work on this. Uh, but because I moved it into the 11 by 11, it is no longer fully gridded. So I gridded what was in the 8-inch Q snap. Um, so I'm gonna finish this diagonal that I'm currently working on, and then I'm gonna grid the rest of the area so that I can continue working on the diagonal. Because I don't know how well you can see, but I'm working on angles. I'm working on this diagonal here. Oh, no, here. So it actually goes all the way up to this corner here. So if I wanted to work the next diagonal completely, I'm gonna have to grid. So yeah, I'm gonna finish that diagonal, grid it up. I have a very cool little stitch marker, sorry, needle minder. Um, Toot found this for me. It was originally a pendant. Don't know how well you can see it, but it is Bigfoot being abducted by aliens, so it is absolutely DH core. The only problem is it's slightly too heavy to be a needle minder. So I think I need to slap another magnet on there just to keep it from sliding down the fabric as much as it is. And yeah, I love this pattern. So the pattern, like I said, is those who wait by Stitch Wit. This is what it's going to look like when it's fully stitched up. So you can see I'm just up in the top corner there, and it's coming along so nicely. I'm really enjoying this. So this is on 18 count Ivory's Weigart, and it's not my first time using 18 count, but it's my first time doing something this large on 18 count. And I am finding that I'm not struggling with it, but it's not as comfortable as 14 or 16 count for me. And I know that there are solutions for that. I could get the magnifying glasses. I could look like Cross Stitch Man on TikTok. But I don't know if that's worth it for me. I don't know if working on higher count is worth the extra hassle of augmenting my eyesight to work on 18 count, if you know what I mean. I think I'd rather just work on larger count. So when I go for my next full coverage, I'm probably going to go for a 16 count. Uh, but that depends on which full coverage I decide on and also what color fabric I go for. Because one of the full coverages that I'm considering, I'm going to want to do on black Ada instead of stitching all the black background stitches. So, and black 16 count is a lot harder to find than black 18 count. Right, so that is Those Who Wait. I am 6% of the way through this project, and every time I sit down, I end up doing about 300 to 400 stitches on it. So I just need to sit down and work on it more, and I think I will now that I've gotten it in a setup that I find comfortable to do. Um, because it's so enjoyable. Because it's only 4 colors of DMC, it's also a great, almost mindless project because there aren't a lot of color changes. I just have to be careful not to completely space out and just do the entire thing in solid uh, navy blue. Navy brown. Navy brown is not a color, but that's what I almost said. All right, so moving on to my next whip. So that was the full coverage. This is the design by another designer slot. And one of the reasons that I wanted to get down to 3 whips is because I have 3 Q snaps. That's it. It's kind of that organizing adage where you can only keep the stuff that you have space in the box for, like the box is your limit. I have 3 Q snaps, so 3 Q snaps is my limit because I really hate moving stuff between, like, I really hate moving fabric in and out of Q snaps. Uh, so I'm really happy. That's another reason that I'm really happy that I got those who wait into the 11 by 11 so that I wouldn't have to switch out one of the other 2 projects constantly whenever I wanted to switch working. Um, all of that to say, this is the designed by another designer. And this is the Deadly Aquarium Sal by Lola Crow, which you have seen in many iterations. So let me just pop up a picture real quick of what it looked like the last time you guys saw it, which the last time I filmed, I believe, was on a Friday, and that was a few hours before the next clue released. So at the time, I was fully caught up. At the moment, I'm not caught up. Wait, was I fully caught up? What is time? Anyways, at the moment, I am not caught up, but I'm also not on track. And I know it's a Sal, it's supposed to be fun, there are no deadlines, but because I would like to move on to different projects, I would like to get this one finished pretty much on schedule, which means that it will be finished like the first week of September ish. So we are on a rest week. There was no new clue released yesterday, which gives us an extra week to catch up on the exhibits that have already been released, which is good because I am not finished the last 2 exhibits. So our friends, the Eagle Rays here, as well as the Yelp, Yelp, down here is from Exhibit 8. Exhibit 8 was the Eagle Rays, and then this kelp continues all the way down to the bottom of the frame. It's not super far down, but it does continue down. And then Exhibit 9 is this hammerhead shark with a barracuda over here and some stripy fish that I can't remember the name of right now. The stripy boys. They're not look downs. I remember what look downs look like because I love the name of them. But it's the stripy boys that always hang out with sharks. So because I hate moving fabric, I finished the Eagle Rays and I started on the kelp. And if I wanted to finish Exhibit 8, I'd have to move the frame down here and then immediately move the frame back up here to start Exhibit 9. So I'm just going to stitch everything I can that's in the frame for both Exhibit 8 and Exhibit 9 and then move the frame and finish. I'm probably going to move the frame down here first, finish the kelp, and then move the frame over here to finish Exhibit 9. This is still really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Um, I'm really happy that we have a shark. I mean, we already had a shark. We had the narrow nosed ghost shark is not technically a shark. Same way that a what is it? The saw nose shark is not actually a shark. It's a species of ray. But yeah, I love the hammerhead shark. This glue is interesting because it's very monochromatic, whereas before we were getting a lot of like really bright, vibrant ones. Like you can see the coral, and even in the parts that are tucked away in the grime guard, we had a lot of really bright colors. And then these 2 clues have been a lot of blacks and grays. So it's definitely a bit of a vibe shift, and it's very interesting. So this has been really fun. So this is the Deadly Aquarium Sal by Lola Crow. I am stitching this 2/1 on a light green Ada from Amazon, Dawn Man, the Amazon house brand. I'm using all of the called for DMCs. I am using, the only change that I really made is you can kind of see it. So the white of the water is B5200, and then the white of the eagle rays is a vintage skein of Blanc. So you can see that they're actually two different whites. And I did all of the water in the B5200 and then switched over to this vintage skein. And I specify that as a vintage skein because it does have some sun damage. So I'm using it because I know that I'm going to be able to use the entire skein for this project and I'm not going to have to color match it. Especially because each of these animals is its own little motif. So if this white doesn't perfectly match the white of like these little stripy boys that are going to show up over here, that's fine because they're different animals. So that's why I'm using that vintage skein of Blanc, so that I can use it up in a way where I'm not going to have to color match it or try and source more if I run out, that kind of thing. Yeah, I am stitching this along with my friend Moonphased. We're actually pretty much at the same point on the Sal, which is funny because I have a lot more stitching time than she does. And also, she just started her first full coverage, which I'm very, very excited for her, but it means less stitching time for this. We had a joint cross stitch stream last night, and we were both working on the kelp at the same time. So we're about at the same pace. So I do have a week left to finish exhibits 8 and 9 before the next clue drops. I have about 1,200 stitches left, which shouldn't be too bad. I do want to get this finished, or not finished. I do want to get caught up before the next clue drops. So this is probably going to be my focus piece for the coming week. So the final category of whips is my own designs. And this one is sort of my own design. You may recognize her. It's Celtic Witch. I'm going to put in a picture of what she looked like the last time that she was fully out of the frame, and she is back in rotation. The reason that she came out of rotation is a bit of a long story. So this pattern was originally by Raven Coven, and it was very confetti heavy, and I stitched almost half of it as originally charted, except for I erased the there were Celtic braids around the top here that I erased. So I showed Gizem of Raven Coven my modifications to it, changing up the color palette and removing those braids, and she was very impressed with it. So we've been working together to basically modify her original pattern as a pattern that I can release in my store with some of my edits. And I kind of got really up in my head because the confetti heavy style is not really my style. Uh, and the edits that I wanted to make would make it a lot more color block heavy, uh, which is not the vibe that I originally started the piece in. So I was thinking that I was going to have to completely frog everything I had done. The problem was I loved the way that it was looking. So let's consider Raven Coven's original design, the V1. My edits with removing the braids here and the braids up here is going to be, and then cleaning up some of the confetti in the bottom section that I haven't stitched at all. That's going to be V2, and that's what I'm stitching now. So V2 is going to be completely stitched, and this one's just for me. I am going to be releasing the V3 of this pattern through the Coffee and Etsy after I've finished redesigning it. I will probably release it without doing a test stitch, but I do feel like doing a test stitch at some point because one of the things that I will be releasing with the pattern is several different colorways. So the original piece was done in shades of black and gray. I did mine obviously in shades of warm brown with, instead of filling in the background stitches with like the darkest brown, I left them blank so you could see this beautiful space Ada. And that's the way that I'm going to release the final pattern with, but I'm going to do it with 4 colors and spaces for the darkest color. And I'm going to provide several different colorways. There's one that I'm really excited about that's like hot pinks. So I might do the hot pink on black for the test stitch if I end up doing this again. So, so yeah, so she is in my, this is my design uh, slot right now. So after I finish her, which I am 42% of the way through, after I finish her, I am going to do the Phasmo sampler, and then I'm going to continue working through my own designs to make sure that I'm getting as many sample stitches for the store as I can. But she's absolutely gorgeous. I love her. I'm so happy that she's back in rotation. I am stitching her 2/1 on this 14 count Galaxy Ada. Again, it's from Amazon. And again, it's no longer available, which is so sad because it's this lovely, like dark green and blue. And yeah, so she's in an 8-inch Q snap. Both of these rhyme guards, by the way, were done for me by Moon Phase and her mom. So Mama Moon and Moon made these for me, and I love them. I use them all of the time. All right, so that's it for the cross stitch whips. I do have one active knitting whip. Like I said, my plan is to get down to 3 knitting whips. Similar to the cross stitch, I want to have like 3 categories, 1 whip in each category. I want to have 1 pullover, 1 cardigan, and 1 pair of socks or hat or like something small. At the moment, I have many more than that. I actually don't have any socks or small stuff on the needles. I did attempt to make a hat for my friend. I cast it on and frogged it like 3 or 4 different times. So that will happen eventually. Eventually. I mentioned it in the last podcast, and I showed about an inch of knitting, and I never got further than that on the hat. So that hat has been frogged and refrogged and refrogged, and the yarn is back in stash. Maybe I just need to find a different yarn. I don't know. Anyways, it's gonna happen at some point, but yeah. So the knitting whip I have been working on is the field sweater. Here's a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. It's got the beautiful, colorful yoke. So you might be a little bit surprised by what I'm about to show you, but here is the front. Ooh, I can't even get that all in the shot. All right, so this is the front of field. So what I've done is I've put all the stitches from the yoke on hold, which means that they're still live. They're just hanging out on barber cord at the moment. I'm going to knit the front, back, and sleeves from the bottom up and then graft them to the live stitches of the yoke. And the reason I'm doing that is because I wanted to put in this motif from the yoke, the grain motif. So you can see that this is just a repeat of the grain motif around the yoke, including where it starts into the color work. So you've got one little grain bundle and then going up into the grain stock. I was not big brain enough to figure out how to do this top down, so I'm doing them bottom up, and then I'm just going to graft them together. So I did that and then switched over to the oatmeal in Patton's Canadiana, not Patton's Gory. And then I'm just knitting straight stockinette for 18 inches. And then that will be the front. The back panel is going to be exactly the same. I might do a different color for the cuff. I probably don't have enough green to do each one of the like the hem all the way around and then each sleeve cuff in the green. So I might just embrace it and do 4 different colors. So the hem is in the Lion Brand mandala because I did have enough of it left to do like just these amounts because I'm not trying to do them in um in the same color gradient that the like continuing the color gradient from the yoke, which is where I ran out of yarn. So I'm not going to need more of the Lion Brand mandala because I am going to continue with this with the white as the body. So this has been great. I'm really, really enjoying it. And Yeah, it's straight stockinette. It's on 5.5 millimeter needles. The yarn is nice and plush. It's going really fast. It's about 5.5 rows to the inch, so it it builds length quite easily. Once I figured out the cabling and everything like that for this grain pattern, because the field sweater is a written pattern, it is not charted, even though the baubles these involve like baubles and cables. So it was a little bit more difficult to parse into like to parse first of all, and then to edit it to what I needed. But I think I did a pretty good job. I really like the effect, and yeah, this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful sweater. Oh, I'm so happy with it. So this is the field sweater by Camilla Vad, and this is my modified front panel. So I finished the yoke. The yoke's probably about 20% of the project. I would say the front, I'd say the yoke is about 25%, and then the front and back would be another 25% each, and then the sleeves would be the last 25%. So once I finish this, I'll be about 50% of the way through. Yeah, that makes sense. Math. Okay, cool. Appreciate that math check-in. So those are all of the whips. I have 3 cross stitch whips and 1 active knitting whip on the go at the moment. I do have 2 like open active knitting whip slots in my free whip rotation. I'm just not filling them right now because I'm not in a super knitting bug, which might change. I'm feeling the knitting parasites starting to return. So that may be a thing that happens more and more. Uh, I'm just I really love the small, almost instant dopamine hits of cross stitch. It really just tweaks something nice in my brain. So yeah. But other crafting stuff that I've been up to. So Toot and I picked up a thing of Rit dye in our last grocery order because we had some white t-shirts, and white t-shirts are not the vibe. This is one of them. This is my Very Hungry Mothman t-shirt. It's absolutely adorable, but it was white, and I don't wear white t-shirts. So we picked up and Toot had a Five Nights at Freddy's Circus Baby t-shirt. Uh, and again, it was white with Circus Baby on it, and it was also not the vibe. So we picked up a bottle of purple dye, and I dyed those up yesterday. Because we were dyeing stuff already, I tossed in a couple of offcuts of Ada. So just playing around with dyeing those. I tried to do like a tie-dye type effect with it, and I didn't tie my ties tight enough. So they ended up really saturated. Like you can't even really see. You can kind of if I yeah, you like there's like a little line there. But the the color is absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna see if I can fix the color on this recording because it's washing it out quite a bit. But it's this lovely royal purple color, and it's got kind of this geode stripe down the middle. Oh, that showed up really well. Okay, yeah. I did this. This is just 14 count. This one was Ivory Zweigart, 14 count. And then I did another piece that was 14 count Dawnman in white. And yeah, again, I tried to do like a tie-dye effect, and it really didn't take. You can kind of see there's a few lines right at the top here. Let's see if I turn it this way. Right down here at the bottom. Like those wrinkles aren't all wrinkles. It's also some variation in color, but they turned out really super dark. So if I was to do this again, which I might, we've got more purple dye left over, but I probably wouldn't go through the effort of just dyeing Ada. Um, it's a lot of work physically. I was exhausted afterwards, and it was really hard on my body. So just to have dyed Ada, I wouldn't go through that effort. But since we were already dyeing the shirts, it made sense to throw some stuff in. So yeah, so that's fun. I just did little tiny pieces of it. So it'll be cute for a couple of small projects, just something that I want a little bit of extra specialness for. I liked that. It was fun, but it's not something that I'm going to be doing a lot of, to be real honest. Yeah, it's just not something I'm going to be doing a lot of. I do have a couple of new toys, or I wouldn't say they're new toys because it's stuff that we had lying around the house that I've repurposed for cross stitch purposes. So they're new to me toys. The first one is I saw a TikTok and I thought this was the most freaking genius idea. So we all know that stitching on black Ada is hard on the eyes. And one of the suggestions that people often say is put something lit behind the Ada. So if you're working from like a pattern keeper tablet, put your tablet behind it so you've got that underlight shining up. So someone had the brilliant idea of taking a string light strip from the dollar store and attaching it to the inside of the inner hoop. So let's see if you can see that. So that's an LED strip. So you would put this under your fabric, and then your fabric goes on top, and then this would go on top as normal to clamp it into place. So the LEDs aren't against your fabric. Um, and then you would plug it in, obviously, and light it up. So I have a piece of black fabric here. I'm gonna see if I can get it like together and show you guys how it would work. But there might be a little bit of a cut. So hang on, hang tight for just a second. So I have my black Ada here, and all I have to do is press the little button on the thingy, which is USB powered, and voila, we have lit from beneath, which I think is really, really cool. So I actually don't have any projects on black Ada at the moment, or even dark colored Ada. I'm working on ivory, light green, and well, it's on the space Ada, but also the space Ada I'm working in rose, so I don't really want to put that in a hoop. Um, and I don't know how well it would work with a frame, and maybe I'll try it on the 6-inch frame. If it works on the 6-inch frame, that might be a game changer. I don't want to hack up one of my 8-inch frames by accident. So I just thought that was really cool. So I've got it set up. I can try it next time I'm doing a small project on black, and see if it actually works. Um, Even if it doesn't, it's kind of a cool little novelty. I got the LED strip. It's a 5-foot LED strip. I got it from the dollar store, and it actually does come like with an app, so you can change the color of the lights and everything like that. So I just left it on blue, but you can change it to like warm or cool white, whatever's going to be the easiest to see. So the other thing I did was I changed up how I store my floss for individual projects. So our floss storage we store on bobbins, and then we have the bobbin storage box. I'll put in a picture actually. So here is all of our floss bobbins in their storage boxes. And the box on the end was my box, so I would kit up my projects and put it all in there. But it takes up a lot of space on my desk, and I like having my desk very like clean and clear. So Toot actually suggested this. They saw it on TikTok, and we had some of these boxes hanging out. Um, so these are little storage boxes. You can get them at Michael's. They're like up in the, like cheapy bins near the cash, which aren't actually that cheap. We originally bought them for bead storage ages ago. They were holding pony beads. So, and they come with 4 different colors. Uh, but we bought 4 of them and moved all of the colors into their own box. uh, so this box, I put a scrapbooking sticker on the top. This is just a planner sticker, and I used the erasable pen to write on it what it is. So this is for Deadly Aquarium. So in this box, I can just have just my flosses for that project. There is extra space in the box, so I have my skein of Blanc kind of like hanging out here. And then whatever skein I'm currently working with can just hang it on the top until I'm done with it. So as you can see, there's like extra space. So if I had more skeins to store like duplicate skeins of floss, something like that, I could keep them in here as well. And then I just need to grab this and okay, ADHD moment over. I can just grab this and put it on my desk and without worrying about having all of the floss for everything. And the nice thing is, so this is Deadly Aquarium, which pretty much fills this. I can get about 30 bobbins of floss in here without using up the top section, so I could get more. But Celtic Witch only has 5 colors, and Those Who Wait only has 4 colors. So they are in the same box. I have 2 little because they only take up 1 little box, but I could use this extra storage space for like the extra skeins of floss because obviously these aren't going to use more than 1 skein of each of these colors because there's only so many colors. Um, right now, the extra floss for these is stored with the rest of my extra floss, but it might be nice to have the extras right here for when I need to grab them because I know I am going to need to grab them. Um, so I just switched over to these. So big thank you to Toot for finding that TikTok, sending it to me, and then reminding me that we actually already own these. Because I'm really enjoying the system so far. So that's kind of like my new-ish things to play with. So let's talk about plans. I know this video is already super long and I've still got chronic health update and a community update to get to, but let's spend a quick minute and talk about plans. I have had make goals for August on my to-do list for literally a week. I just have not gotten there. I haven't made any personal goals. I haven't made any channel related goals. I haven't made any crafting related goals. I'm just kind of working on whatever, but I do have a couple of things that I do want to focus on. So I want to stay on top of Deadly Aquarium. That is going to be my focus piece. Once I'm finished with Deadly Aquarium, then it's going to be Celtic Witch because I would like to get her finished. Like I said, I'm like 42% of the way through. There's about 8,000 stitches left. So, I mean, I could finish it probably. I want to say I want to finish it by the end of September, but I think end of October might be a more reasonable deadline. Um, because I do want to get it finished, but then I also want to start new stuff. So Deadly Aquarium and Celtic Witch are going to be the 2 focus pieces. And then, but I'm sure whenever the full coverage parasites come by, I'll be working on Those Who Wait. The other thing is that I might pack up field or I might leave field out. And like I said, I have 2 like active whip slots open. And one of them is for a cardigan. So I might pull out Linger. Linger is a cardigan that I started earlier this year. I only have 1 lingering whip from 2023, and it's a Christmas vest, and I don't feel like working on it. So it's not gonna get worked on. But Linger I started last February, and I actually got quite far. I finished the yoke on it. Let me grab it and I'll show you guys. So you're not going to be able to see a whole bunch of this, mainly because I stopped in the middle of a row, so it's all scrunchy scrunch on the needles. I also haven't transferred it to straights yet. Uh, See earlier podcasts about how I have to knit on straights now. But this one I would be dividing. I do each front and then each sleeve and then the back individually on straights. And it'll be really easy to split that up because I already have stitch markers where I would have to do that. So this is Linger. The Oh yeah, that's really washed out. This is a really vibrant limey neon in person. If I can't fix the video, I will put up a picture of of the actual color of this yarn. Um, so this pattern is by Asabukta, I think is how you pronounce it. It's going to be written on the screen for you guys to see. It's from Linger. It's from Linger. Yeah, it's from Knitty, which is a free online knitting magazine. So the pattern is free, and this came out, and I absolutely loved it. It had that like, it's got that kind of fall grungy. I'm just running out to the corner store and I think I might have a hole in my sweater, but I don't really care type vibe. And I had a sweater's quantity of bulky weight, 100% wool in this amazing color. Smells so good. Um, just sitting around, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. And this seemed like the perfect pattern for it. So, because there isn't, this yarn is quite variegated. So I needed something uh, with a simple design, a simple pattern, but also with some visual interest. So this is done in, I believe the technical term is half fisherman's rib. It's a type of brioche tuck stitch. So it's got this amazing squashy ribbed texture. Um, it is an absolute delight to knit. It's a delight on the hands. It just feels so like you just want to squish it. Especially because I don't use a whole lot of wool for several reasons. But for myself, I like wearing it. Uh, and I was given this wool as a gift, which is the only reason that I have it because it would be very expensive otherwise. This is Dream in Color, which early 2000s Dream in Color was one of the biggest names in hand dyed yarn. They're still around, but I don't think I am not hearing their name as much as I used to. So this is Dream in Color Mammoth in the colorway Tart. And Tart is discontinued, the color, unfortunately, but I should have more than enough yarn to finish. So here's the back. Um, so this little stitch marker here is the start of the body. So I basically just have to finish splitting it up. I have to put, the rest of it on hold and then figure out if I want to start on a sleeve or a front. I'm probably going to start on a front, but it's so bulky, even though it's a half fisherman's rib, which each of these V's is usually a row of knitting, but in brioche, it's 2 rows, a front forward pass and a back pass. And actually, brioche is a lot, or half fisherman's rib is a lot easier to do flat. So I am going to do the sleeves flat and not in the round, and then just seam them up afterwards. So yeah, I might pick this one back up because I love it. I'm petting it right now and like holding it. I'm like, yeah, I want this. So yeah, I'll probably put this back on the needles this afternoon, and you guys might be seeing some updates there. In the Discord server, we've been talking a lot about like fall knitting, because as you know, August 1st is the start of spooky season. So it's time for fall, y'all. It's time for getting out the wool, the cozy knits. I'm really feeling those vibes. The pumpkin spice. I have a bottle of pumpkin spice creamer. Fun fact, if you use like International Delight or something, you can put it in the freezer and it stays good. So you can have pumpkin spice creamer all year round. You just have to buy a whole bunch of it when it's actually available and then put it in the freezer. So I might be pulling that out of the freezer. And then of course, like once it's unfrozen, you can't refreeze it and you have to use it within probably like 3 or 4 weeks. Not gonna be a problem. So yeah, it's pumpkin spice season for me in a small way. I'm still experimenting with how different drinks and foods interact with my meds. So far, it seems like decaf coffee is okay for me. I'm continuing to do some science. I'm actually continuing to do some science before I pull out the pumpkin spice creamer because I don't want to like waste it if I can't actually drink coffee. Because that would be just a total shame. But yeah, get ready for your fall knitting, your fall crafting, your cozy comfiness. Okay, we're almost there, guys. I want to do a quick chronic illness update. So let's head on over to the chronic illness update. I don't know why I always feel like that needs like a huge introduction. I want like a did you know style, like with spinning stuff and sparkles. Anyways, I'm doing well. I hesitate to say I'm improving because that feels like jinxing things, not good. But I'm doing pretty well. I spoke with my neurologist and I spoke with my respirologist. So my lung damage appears to be stabilizing. There's probably just a lot of scar tissue in there. It's not getting better, but it's not getting worse, which is good. So I'm continuing to use the puffer. One of the reasons that you see so many edits and cuts in my videos is because I need to take a break to breathe. And I don't really want to show you just like 5 minutes of me catching my breath after every project. Um, so yeah. So I spoke to the respirologist, lungs are stable. I spoke to my neurologist, and he recommended some changes to my medication that will probably help with my fatigue, my brain fog, and my general body achiness, while at the same time helping decrease the likelihood of seizures. So that's really exciting. So we're starting those. I've already started on them, and we're doing the ramp up because they are one of these medications that you have to introduce gradually and then kind of figure out where your sweet spot is. So I am starting my next dosage up tonight, and then that's the dosage where most people find it helpful. But because of my size, it might be more helpful if I bump it up. Just bigger body needs more medication. That's the way it is. Uh, the unfortunate chronic health update is we've spoken before about Toot's shoulder. She has a torn labrum, which is the soft tissue in this area of the shoulder. So it's a very common injury in sports players, especially baseball players. How Toot ended up with it, we're not entirely sure, but she has been in incredible amounts of pain for the last several years and is starting to lose function in the arm. So we've had MRIs, a couple different MRIs, and she's done a bunch of testing. We spoke with the ortho surgeon, and basically it's not going to improve without surgery. Toot is going to be having shoulder surgery at some point in the near future. We're not exactly sure. I haven't heard back from the hospital yet as to when we're going to book the surgery. I'm actually going to follow up with them in a couple of days and just make sure they got the referral and everything like that. We are in Ontario, so we don't have to pay for the surgery. It is covered by the government. However, wait times might be longer. The average wait time for this is about 3 months, which is not that bad, but we just don't know at this point. So when we get closer to the date, I will be letting the community know what's going on in terms of us, in terms of like video schedule and stream schedule and everything like that, because we are going to be disrupted for a while. Toot is going to basically lose the use of her left arm for 4 to 6 weeks while it's in a sling immediately following the surgery, and then full recovery with physio and treatment and everything like that could take 4 to 9 months. Some people have found that it could take more than a year until they recovered full range of motion with it. So we're really not sure at this point, but I will keep you guys updated with what's going on there. Okay, community news, and then I will let you all go. I will let you continue with your day. So, community news. The community showcase is going to be next week's video. I have been collecting submissions from people in the community in the Discord server. So basically, it's going to be a video showing off all of your cool creations. Um, by the time you see this, submissions will be closed, but I probably will be doing another one in the future. And I will, of course, give all the details on that. But basically, I asked for people to show me cool stuff that they've made. And I'm going to talk about it in a video and show off lots of pictures. So that's going to be next week's video. I am really, really excited about that because I have seen some really awesome stuff. Uh, People are still sending things in. I'm keeping submissions open through tomorrow evening as I am filming this, so they'll be closed by the time you guys see this. But yeah, stay tuned for that video next week. It's going to be so much fun. Toot has started streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I mentioned it earlier in the video. She is doing no talking Phasmo streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. but the official schedule will be posted in the Discord and on Instagram and Facebook on Sundays, along with my schedule. It's just a really nice. It's like 95% chill and cozy, and 5% oh my god that ghost, which is really good. It's great background noise if you're trying to get some work done, if you want to do some puttering around the house, if you're just waking up and you want to hang out. It's like hanging out with your spooky older sibling who's playing video games, um, and you're just hanging out and watching them. So it's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys will follow and join us. I have put the links to both the YouTube and the Twitch in the video description down below. Speaking of YouTube videos, which was the thing I was speaking about before I talked about Toot. Last week's video was the cross-stitch Notion tutorial, which I know a lot of people have been really looking forward to. So that went up on the channel last Wednesday. If you guys are interested, I had a lot of fun filming that one. There will be a knitting version coming at some point in the future. Those ones are a little bit more difficult for me to film just because they just require a little bit more finagling, if that's the right word. A little bit more setup and that kind of thing. So, new knitting video on Notion will be coming in the future, but the cross stitch Notion video is up, and I hope you'll get some inspiration from it and get some cool ideas for your own Notion. If you did find that interesting or helpful, please comment on that video and let me know what you thought of it. I have done a shop update. There are 8 new patterns available for sale in the Coffee and the Etsy shops, including the support possums. I'm so happy with the support possums. They are completely my own design, my own art, my own everything, and they're just so cute. I love them. So the support possums are here, and there are more coming, and they are here to remind you that you are loved, that you need to hydrate, that you need rest, that take easy also important, and all of those good other things. There's also a freebie up on the coffee shop. This freebie is one of our Twitch emotes, which was drawn by the amazing community member Orchid Sunshine. You can find her on Instagram at Little Things Sophia, and she very generously let me use their art for for this little free cross stitch pattern of my beautiful ball python son Pennywise. The last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the community is that there are a new supporter role in the Discord. So you just watching this video is supporting the channel. You telling your friends, hey, I found this cool Flosstuber, and sending my link is supporting the channel. Lurking in streams is supporting the channel. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to spend money in order to support the channel. There is a new role in Discord for people who have financially supported the channel, because that's the only way that I can set up that automatic role. So right now, if you are a Discord member and you have your Discord account linked to either your Twitch or your Coffee account, and you can do that through the Discord integration apps and through your account settings on Coffee. If you have supported the Cozy DH on Twitch or through Coffee, you will get a special role and a special color name in the Discord. I don't do like supporter shoutouts at the end of my videos. I might start doing that. Quite honestly, if you support us through Coffee quite honestly, if you support us on Coffee through memberships, there are no benefits for you. I'm sorry. I haven't set them up yet. I probably will in the future, but I have not yet set them up. However, you are funding treats, food, medical attention for all of our animals, and we are super, super appreciative of you. So I am very quickly going to run through some of our supporters here. And these are people who have subscribed on Twitch or set up their own membership service on Coffee. And those people are, I'm going to look down because I have to read my list. Story Stitcher, Wanna, Granatrix / Gwenergy, goes by 2 different names. Goth Stitch, thank you, Susie Q. Mickey Moth, Orchid Sunshine, Potato Shoe Charles, who I constantly misspell and mispronounce, but Potato Shoe is a pillar of the community and does sub to us on Twitch as well. Moonfaced, Nope Mac, who has the current record for the most gifted subs in the Twitch channel, although he very rarely actually talks in chat. But we appreciate Nope Mac. He is another pillar of the community. Little Wolf 974, and of course all of my lurkers, everyone who I see you guys around. You don't talk very much in chat, you don't comment very much on the videos, but I know you're there, I know you're watching, and I super appreciate you. And I just wanted to give you some love. People like Orphan Maker Fury, Midnight, Karen MR over on YouTube, my Quarter Stitch Crisis over on YouTube as well, and of course Almighty Titty, who has the most ridiculous username, but is also one of my frequent lurkers. So I'm so grateful for all of you. Please continue to enjoy the content. Please continue to ask me for more content. Um, there's never any pressure from anyone to come to the live streams. There's never any pressure from anyone to participate in chat, to be active in the comments, be active in the Discord, nothing like that. I just love seeing you. The number of replays that my streams get makes me so happy. When people say like, "Oh, I missed the stream last night, but I put it on this morning to while I made breakfast," like you have no idea how happy that makes me. Toot and I are so incredibly appreciative of your support in every possible way. And we love seeing your smiling faces in the comments, in the live chat, and in the Discord. We now have a Facebook group, and people are commenting and interacting over there, and it's really lovely to see. All right, so we have come to the end of the Cozycast episode 12. Uh, Links to everything that I talked about today, all of the projects, all of the shop updates, all of the patterns, all of the places that you can find us, are all going to be linked in the description down below. Please leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Please also consider subscribing. And right about now, some buttons should be popping up around my head. This one, it's pretty cool. If you hit it, you will subscribe to the channel. If you hit one of these, you will be taken to another one of my crafting videos. So until next time, my friends, I will see you in the Discord. I'll see you in the live streams. I'll see you in the coffee shop. But most importantly, I will see you in my heart. All right. Bye, guys. Bye bye.